lovely people, and welcome to the Magic Garden. I thought I would bring you a summer solstice tour. It's the weekend of Litha, and rather than studying or doing rituals, I just wanted to be connected via the garden and all the flowers that are in abundance at the moment. You can see here the roses have all started to flower, and for me, flowers and abundance are what Litha is all about. I could be sat inside reading books, but for me this display just connects me so profoundly and so immediately in a busy world to summer solstice energy and Litha and the long days of the sun. You can see, look, it's climbing out there. There's abundance everywhere. So it's going onto the conservatory roof one side, and I've had to put a branch this side to lift up the growth just away from the door until I can build a frame up here for the extra growth of the climbing rose. So the roses are in bloom. They're covered in bees all the time. It's just completely beautiful. So flowers, abundance, feeling connected to the wheel. And then of course Litha is a fire festival, and nothing sums up Litha for me more than the nasturtium in the herb garden, surrounded by, you can see I've got fennel, I've got lemon balm, there's coriander, little cuttings of lavender are still surviving, but the nasturtium with their fire coloured flowers peeping out, and of course they're all edible. You can eat the leaves and the flowers. They've got a hot peppery taste. For me, they really sum up the feeling of Litha and the fire and lighting fires for Litha and the sun, and they've been glorious this year. And of course, if we're following the story of the Wheel of the Year, we're in the mother element of the triple goddess, and the hot tub for me is my mothering in the garden summed up right there. You can see I've got a shelf here that was used to balance the DVD projector that I brought all the kids instead of giving them birthday parties, with a screen on that bar over there that I pull down, late night DVDs in the hot tub. It's just been glorious. The original plan was to put the DVD projector here and to project it onto a screen on that bar there, but the picture was just too big. So as all mothers do, we adapt as we go along. But the hot tub for me is my family, my children. It's just been glorious, as are these hanging baskets. Of course, flowers in abundance is Litha energy, and these hanging baskets have certainly been that. These dark petunias, oh, look at them next to the verbena. Look at the verbena in tricolour pink, tricolour for the triple goddess. And then we've got the white and the red over on that far basket over there. But we've got mother energy, growth. Look at that, clematis climbing all over there. It's literally wrapping round the Frida inspired llamas and I just love it. The stripy petunias are everything. They make me think of holidays and deck chairs and just summer joy. Stripy petunias. And of course you will see just flowers everywhere in all the pots, in all the hanging baskets. Such a huge part of this time of year and Litha celebrations. Things like sunflowers, daisies, anything that relates to the sun, anything that brings in the bees like these flowers do. We've got mint and lemon balm and the thyme that's about to flower. The pulmonaria, which is that huge leaf there. There's lavender in the corner, which again is part of the celebrations of Litha. And behind me you can see the lavateria is opened. Just a sky of pink. Again, all of this grew this year after I trimmed the tree that you can see at the back there. I trimmed that tree right down, and as I trimmed it, it must have dropped into the bed seeds, and I've just got a bed full of lavateria now. All of that is new growth. and it's just glorious. It's taking over a little bit, but a sky of pink above a bed of daisies. And of course, daisies and sunflowers are a huge part of Litha. They represent the sun. And these oxeye daisies are just so easy to grow. The seeds that each flower gives you is incredible. There is the lavatiria. You can see from this angle that sky of pink above the bed of daisies. And of course, it gives lots of bird cover as well. Can you see the birds flying in and out? The garden is absolutely full of birds. And for me, it's not just about control and gardening. It's about making a home for us all and being connected to nature. However, the ragwort at the front of this bed isn't quite so welcome, so I need to sort that out. But you can see the fuchsia is coming into flower. That constant turning of the wheel is so evident when you spend time in a garden. And you know, we've got, I think those are Californian poppies which have self-seeded here. I love it when plants self-seed. I'm not quite sure what that is yet. I'm not sure. It might possibly be a foxglove, I'm not sure. But this is a climbing jasmine. Now this is incredible. This was given to me as a little cutting 2 years ago, and it's hardly grown. It's been a couple of inches tall each year. But this year, this Litha, I've noticed that it has just started to grow and grow and grow and grow. It's twisting its way slowly up the palette. It must just have established this year. It's been given love. It's been given time. Isn't that what we all need? And it's growing up towards the sun. Love and time poured into this garden. Not money, but love and time. And I think you can tell. And of course, planting flowers where you can see them, whether that be inside or out. You can see I've lifted up all of these planters just on pallets just to make a false shelf so I can see them from inside, because I think that's really important to find ways to stay connected. That's self-seeded again from last year. That's fantastic. Look at this. This is really abundant. This is going to be planted at the top of the garden, but that's like quadrupled in like 10 days, the size of that and the amount of leaves. It was a cutting from a friend from her mom's garden, and the leaves on that will also become fire coloured. I feel magic in this plant. I can't wait to see it grow. So can you see flowers? Could you plant flowers? Could you buy yourself some flowers for this summer energy? It just makes you feel so connected. And look at these sedums. Talk about connecting you to the circle of life. They're throwing up so many babies, and they're doubling and tripling in size so quickly. These are what those are cuttings off a friend as well. So connected with friends. Oh, and look at the colours. Just soak that in, those pinks and those burgundies and the stripes. It's just joy for the soul. It's soul food. And I think being connected and seeing these plants and these sedums triple and seeing the fire of the nasturtiums, it really is soul food, and it's just so important. So I would urge anybody this Litha, even if it's just to go and buy yourself some flowers. Oh, and let me show you the new metal butterflies I've got. These are still to be fixed around the hot tub on the wood, but a friend dropped those off for me. I think they're going to be so pretty. And if you look at the buckets, you can see that all of those tiny, tiny little cuttings I took from all the different plants and the sedums, they've really taken. Look, there's a feather that I found in the garden as well. But look, they are already, these are throwing up babies and flowers as well. I'm blown away. And of course, that's the flower that I've got growing over the wall. So next year, this will be all dripping probably in that purple flower. And that's the joy of gardening. It does keep you connected with that circle. Not everything is a success. You can see that plant that I planted is not very happy. I think the soil might be a bit too sandy for it. It's the banana candy. But other things, the strawberry, you can see that's beginning to flower. There are asters, those have tripled in size as well. And just generally, I think there is abundance everywhere. You can see I've got trellis ready to go, just sat there. But I'm bringing you over here to show you the nasturtium and the strawberries, because of course fruit is part of Litha as well. There's that purple flower that's spreading, just a tiny piece of that, and it starts to spread and it comes back every year. You can see it peeping out there under the nasturtium. But the nasturtium over here, look, it's almost looking like a sculpture now. It's beginning to spread up the wall. And I've never had them do this before. Even the clematis is going up the wall as well. And the fuchsia, which I thought I'd killed when I first planted it. Look, you can see some of the leaves that I fried by watering it in the sun. But that's come back as well. And then we've got the fire of the nasturtium flowers. But the strawberries have been brilliant. We've been collecting strawberries from all over the garden. There's thyme there that's flowering, even though I haven't got round to potting that out all that time there. But yeah, fruit and veg are also part of Litha. And I think collecting red strawberries under peppery nasturtium leaves just sums it up. Oh, that bramble's going for it big time. But ignore the brambles in this bed and come and see how huge the hostas are, and also how massive this fern is. There's another hosta peeping through there. Now this fern, if you look past the bed of the pot of strawberries there, this fern actually moved with me. I felt so connected to the soul of this fern that at my last house, it was the one plant that I dug up and brought with me to this house, and it's so huge now. It's taking over the whole bed. Ah, look at those green corners. And of course, the wild geranium. There's the one that we step over. But if I bring you round this corner, you will see how tall the wild geranium has got this side. And I just adore the purple next to that ceiling of pink on the lavatoria. Luna loves it too. She's a bit confused why the gate's got flowers in it, but there you go. And this bed here, these are all things I've grown from seed or from cutting. There's the lavender. Lavender is a Litha flower too. But these are all different types of dahlia as well that I've planted. This I used to call this, last year when I built this bed, I called it the dahlia bed. You can see I've trimmed the grass a little bit. I've tried to clear the paths. But what I have done is I've left pockets of nature. I've left dock leaves and grasses and buttercups just in pockets around. We've got a lot of frogs in this garden that need cover. So I like to leave pockets like that. All the grass up there I've left for the dogs to eat because they come out and eat grass in the morning. And again, it's cover for wildlife. And this bed here, wow, that bed I put in a few years ago, and now it's so abundant with life. At the back there, there's a tree stump with a pot on, and you literally can't even see it under the tree. But because it's so full, the fern's massive. Look, that's where the tree stump is. The fern is looking beautiful this year. Let me show you the fern from the back. Look. Oh, I'm going to have to get in and clear those brambles. So there's hostas in those two corners. But really, this wild geranium is what most gardeners rip out. And I think it's probably one of my favourite plants in the whole garden. It's just wild. It fights its way up every year. I love it. It just makes me smile. The fact that I leave it, it makes me smile. Dogs always underfoot wherever I go. So Litha time is normally my cut-off point where everything is normally planted. But in these two beds, I've been planting up a little bit later this year. The zinnias there have only just gone in, the dahlias, marigolds. Look, the wildflower seeds are only just appearing as well. Everything seems a bit later. The sunflowers there. So I haven't really gone with the date as much for Litha this year, more the feel of the energy. So there's loads of dahlias here, there's lupins, marigolds, and of course sunflowers. Sunflowers are so important for this time of year, and normally Litha is my cut-off point for planting, but you can see I've still got trays of zinnias, I've still got sunflowers to go out. There's foxgloves underneath there, but I've been busy working. Look, the poached eggplant has already gone over, so timing and energy in the garden feels different for me this year. Everything seems later, some things are dying quicker, so I'm going more with the feel than the dates. The strawberries are looking great. It's so lovely having fruit around. But those two beds there, of course, and this pot here, they're all soon going to be full of flowers. That's a big dahlia coming out. There's more dahlias there. And the lettuce, I'm waiting to see if this lettuce with its rotten leaves at the bottom, I'm going to have to rip some leaves off. But will this flower, does the lettuce flower? And if it does, what does it look like? Of course, there's wild geranium there. But look at the sorrel. I think plants like tyres. All of these tyres were free from the tip. But look, that mint is flowering for the first time ever since I've put that in the tyre. I think the tyre makes the roots warm. So if you can get your hands on free tyres, and if like me you can't afford big pots, then tyre stacks are absolutely brilliant. And you can see here there's dahlias again there. And in this end bed, this is a plant that I planted this year, and this is flowering for the first time. How pretty are those pink flowers next to Tilly's bluebird? I absolutely love them. And this bed as well has had all of the seedlings and the things that I've grown from seed in. Apart from those, I think those are rudbeckia that have self-seeded from last year. But there's zinnias, marigolds again, which are a Litha flower. There's planting been done over there, and of course our sunflower bed, our competition flower, sunflowers, such an important part of this festival. If you can grow sunflowers for Litha, then do it. It is just wonderful to do. There's very little left in the greenhouse. There's some marigolds to go out if the slugs would just stop stealing it. And look, this is so exciting. Those hosta seeds that I collected last year and planted, which I thought weren't doing anything, suddenly all my pots are full of little baby hostas. The plan is to plant these all around and underneath the trampoline. I think that would look amazing. But let me take you out past the ox-eye daisies. That was just a handful of seeds just scattered last year. Let's go into Tilly's secret garden. Look, I've still got things to plant out. I've still got so much stuff left to plant out. I'm so late this year. But the baby hostas from last year have really enjoyed that weed suppressant fabric being lifted. They have like quadrupled in size. And the clematis are opening. Look at those. They look like fireworks going up the wall. What a joy to see. This one that struggles a little bit more, but we're getting some flowers this year. I'm not giving up on it just yet. And then all round Tilly's rabbit, we've planted lupins. The lavender are growing. There are, cactus dahlia, those are. What else did we plant? Marigolds. Look, that heuchera that I divided has really taken under that fuchsia. And the other part of the heuchera is, look, there's a clue. It's underneath the hosta. The hosta's kind of bullying it out at the moment. And this fuchsia bush over here, this is a really delicate little fuchsia bush. This is just coming into flower as well. This is really pretty when it flowers. It's really, really delicate. And over this side, again, you can see our sunflower garden. All different types of sunflowers in there. And there are, I put zinnias down there. This, I think that might be borage. I think that's grown from last year. And again, it's self-seeded at the back there. I'm sure these are Rudbeckia. Look, you can see the yellow flower just coming on them. The same as those over there. I just think they've self-seeded, which is fantastic if they have. So I've cleared some of the wildflowers around here. And look, you can see there were too many grasses there. So I've left the oxeye daisies, because I think they're just so gorgeous. But I've cleared a little bit at the front, and I've made space for zinnias again. I love zinnias. And they'll just come up like tall flowers. And little pockets of lupins as well. If I can get pockets of lupins growing in the garden, I'll be so happy. I'm going to give Busby all the credit for the lupins, because he managed to grow the seeds, which I've never managed to grow before. I've put another little pocket, a corner of lupins over there. So you can see for me, Litha is about getting the plants planted out and then just sitting back and enjoying the flowers. I just think it's such a glorious time of year. A time of year where we get to watch the tiny little sunflower seeds that we planted become these huge, enormous tributes to the sun. And I also give all of my maintenance work over as a tribute to Mother Earth. You can see the ladder's out. I've been cutting back this huge conifer. It got so massive. Literally at the start of the week, you couldn't even see the 2 chairs there in Tilly's secret garden. It had come forward so much. So I've cut it back, but I always just cut up as high as I can reach. And I leave the top wild, because the top is full of birds' nest. It's where Sensei, our pigeon in the garden, lives. So hedge cutting has been a big part of this week. Both sides, you can see all along the top there. I've still got that bit in the middle to do, but I've kind of cut that down a little bit as well and cut back this side. And it's meant that this bed has been cleared again for more sunflowers. Sunflowers for me are a really important part of this year. All of those at the back are sunflowers, all different types. I've put dahlia at the front. I've got some cuttings from some friends as well that I've put in at feverfew. I've sprinkled it all with wildflower seeds and feverfew as well. So if I come into the vegetable garden, I've been trying to clear up here. It's still loads of work, I know, but it's just been really fun to try and clear. You can see you can actually get around the back of the strawberry barrel now. You can see some of the bricks I laid last year, and the bed over there, that was full of 5-foot nettles, so I've been trying to dig that out. You're beginning to actually see the paths again. It's incredible. I've still got old potatoes to dig out, but look, the strawberry barrel, it's been throwing out strawberries. It's been so lovely having strawberries every day. And these wildflowers, I'm going to have to find out the name of these. I discovered a bank of these on a walk a few years ago, and I took the tiniest little cutting and put it in my pocket and replanted it in the garden, and now it's all over the garden. But you can see the bricks. Now, there's a circle of bricks around this strawberry barrel. Actually, I've laid the paths in this vegetable garden to mirror the triple goddess and the moon, so I can't wait to be able to see that. Blueberry isn't planted up yet, neither is the goji berry. Well, the goji berry's in, it just needs training. So it's going to be fruit here in this part of the vegetable garden, and I've got plans for that dark corner as well as under the trees there. There's new plants everywhere. It's so exciting. as are gifts from friends. Look, somebody dropped me off these log rolls that they didn't need anymore. I've got plans to try and finally finish this path with those log rolls and to do something with them. But there are loads of jobs, there's loads of new ideas. I've actually trimmed here so that you can get through. You can only just get through. You can see the abundance. I've spent a time pulling out brambles out of there, but I've decided to leave this as a new nettle bed. Look at that, nettles and dock leaves growing together. Isn't that just glorious? And of course, caterpillars need nettles. That's where they plant their eggs, and caterpillars are really struggling because of the gardener, the vice-like control that the gardener likes to have on the garden and ripping nettles out. That's why I like to leave these areas of wild buttercups, dock leaves, nettles. Like I said, there's loads of frogs in this garden and this gives them cover. I really, really get upset that caterpillars have nowhere to plant their eggs. So I think if you are following the wheel of the earth, you're trying to stay connected with nature, then I think doing things like growing nettles in a nettle bed is so important. And can we just take a moment to look at this hosta? This was a 50p hosta, as was that one, which I bought about 5 years ago and planted them. They were so tiny. Look, there's all volunteer plants growing down here, and volunteer ferns as well everywhere up here. I don't know where they're coming from, but it's fantastic. But this fern with the heuchera flowers that look like fireworks going off. Look, you can see Luna's literally underneath it. You can see how big that hosta is. It's just so massive, and every year they come up, every year they blow me away. This, look, the grass has got flowers now. This was a cutting last year that somebody gave me on school run. The hydrangeas at the back, that's much happier up here in the shade. Don't plant your hydrangeas in the sun, you'll lose them. Oh, my dog's trying to attack a pigeon in the background. But I spent a whole day up here ripping out at the back of here. There was bindweed coming back, and it had wrapped around this climbing hydrangea. Again, this climbing hydrangea was 50p off a sale rack, as was that. Well, now what's that there? Oh, I've forgotten what it's called. But all the bindweed is out and the peony is beginning to open. How gorgeous is that? And these heuchera flowers that look like spindly fireworks, the bees love them, and bees are an important part of Litha. They're important for all of us. That's why I spread this heuchera around. There's my second nettle bed at the back. I have to watch the bindweed coming through from next door. There's also a pale lilac lavateria up here, which was just a stick of lavateria that I'd taken as a cutting that I shoved in one of the tyre stacks. It looked so funny. But look, 3 years on and I've got that. Look, more volunteer ferns. How amazing is that? Can you imagine all those hostas as well? Look, there's another volunteer fern down there. Hostas and fern under the trampoline. I think that's going to be the way to go. So planting things for the bees, really important all the year, but especially at Litha. I cleaned the trampoline as well because we had friends over and it was glorious to see the trampoline being used and kids' laughter as well in the garden. So I squeezed past the nettles and come back down. So the potential of all these new ideas, work still to be done, which is a joy. I'm not overwhelmed anymore by the fact that I've got so many jobs to do. I think it's a joy because the journey is still ongoing and I love it. The gates have been good for stopping the dogs from destroying things. So the path still needs doing. That dark corner over there, I've got some ideas for that. I'm looking forward to seeing all the sunflowers come out. There's competition sunflowers there. Past these giant sunflowers as well. Past the daisies, all tributes to the sun at Litha. So that's it, guys. I hope you've enjoyed seeing the abundance and what I do outside at Litha. What do? I don't really do anything. I just make sure I'm out there connected. I don't think it takes any grand gesture, any big ritual. I think just enjoying the flowers, noticing the changes. That's a big thing, just noticing the changes, noticing where volunteers come up, just celebrating it. It does just keep you really connected, and it's just a joy being out here, seeing the magic of these nasturtium leaves opening and the firework colours and the peppery taste. That's a spell in its own right. You don't need anything more than that at Litha. I think sometimes we make witchcraft and being connected harder than it needs to be. It could just be coming out and looking at the daisies, and there you go, you're connected. I would say plant sunflowers, I would say plant nasturtium as your nod for Litha. I would say stripy petunias, let an area grow wild. Find out what the bees like, get some lavender growing, all of that. Oh, and roses. Roses are a Litha flower as well. Go and plant some roses. You'll never regret it, because look at that. So happy Litha, everybody. Enjoy the summer energy, and thanks for watching.